Let's jump to the story from Insider and get into the meat and potatoes here, this PayPal story. Insider reports PayPal falls after weekend blowback over misinformation policy that would have fined users $2,500. The stock fell 6% on Monday, following the company's botched acceptable use policy update. The company faced backlash after its updated policy included a fine of $2,500 for a variety of things, but it included hate speech against marginalized groups and spreading misinformation. And it said, at PayPal's sole discretion to determine, meaning they could just be like, you said the sky was blue. I disagree. Yoink, give me your money. So this resulted in PayPal coming out and being like, no, it was an error, it was a mistake. So the first thing I want to say, because this affects us, several months ago, we took PayPal off Timcast.com, and we knew something like this was coming. We've seen too much ESG in banking institutions, too much censorship. We knew it was a huge vulnerability. So we signed up with Parallel Economy. When you go to Timcast.com and become a member, the default option is Parallel Economy. Secondary option is Stripe. Stripe's okay. They're not perfect. Parallel Economy is very, very good. They're not perfect. But Dan Bongino co-founded this to be more censorship resistant. So many people chose to remain as members using PayPal. I recommend you guys switch over if you can. I'm not sure there's a seamless way to do it. When you signed up, many people signed up as guests with a guest PayPal account. That means you just terminate your account at timcast.com and then re-sign up. But of course, that means you'll get charged $10 again. So if you're in like the middle of the month, it kind of sucks. I guess I would say for those in a situation, wait until your month is over, and then before you're charged next, cancel and then switch over or something like that. That would be good. Or if you really don't mind a couple of bucks, it does support us because we do use it to obviously conduct operations here at Timcast. But this was bad, and I got to say right now, one, trial balloon. I certainly think so. They probably would have ran with this if there wasn't a major backlash to it. And I think the other thing is just. Well, I shouldn't say there's two things. Regardless of the first instance, the trial balloon, this will eventually become normal mainstream. They are going to implement this. They just did it with a heavy hand. So it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And PayPal has been doing this for a very long time. They have been weaponized for the benefit of the political state for a very long time, including originally, from when I remember, going after Julian Assange, freezing his ability to be able to collect money online. They went after crypto individuals. They went after a free speech union. They partnered with the SPLC, a discredited, horrible organization that, of course, was sued successfully many times for defamation and slander of individuals that they attacked politically. So PayPal does not have the best interest. I'm switching mine. I already switched mine to an alternative. I'm switching to more alternatives because the free market is where it's at. And PayPal has had a dominance in the space. Some people have said that they are a monopoly. I kind of agree with them because a lot of people have been politically shut off from PayPal and are unable to do a lot of banking online because of that larger target put on their backs artificially by PayPal.
If anyone wants to know, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street own about 18% of PayPal.
Makes sense.
As they do with so many corporations that are public.
What about internationally? Do they have a lot of international interests? That's what I wonder.
PayPal?
No, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street.
I don't know.
Because I was talking to a real estate agent. We obviously we're expanding. We want to do our brick and mortar shop. And the guy mentioned something about financing for big properties with like BlackRock. I started laughing and I was like, I don't want to go anywhere near those companies. These things they do. Maybe it wasn't BlackRock. Maybe it was a different. Maybe it was Blackstone.
Stone's doing the housing developments right now.
Right. But they're like, but they were similar companies, right? They're related in some way.
Yeah, the one was a spinoff of the other.
Yeah. What I see with this is, we've been talking about nuclear war and everything. What I see here is, I don't know if civil war is the right word, but some kind of look. It's policies like this that if they were to effectively implement would result in some kind of, I don't know, insurgency. If we keep censoring people, if we keep shutting down businesses, if the DOJ is continually going after only one political faction, eventually you get some kind of disruption and fighting and destabilization in the United States. So I guess my question to you is, do you think that there is a potential with the expansion of these kind of policies into civil war or revolutionary kind of insurgency and fighting within the country?
Again, we talked about Ray Dalio earlier. Earlier this year, mentioning that he thinks there's a 30% chance of civil war after the next presidential election. If it's close, especially, the losing side may say, I don't buy it, and especially if they continue to be so split in policies and philosophies. I mean, the U.S. is very much a split country. And so you could see, I'm in Texas now, and the Texit movement, Texit Leave the United States Succeed movement is very, very big. It has a lot of support. I mean, some polls show most Texans support getting out of the country.
Wow.
So you could see the country falling apart. It could happen. Now, would it be a shooting war? I have a hard time. Civil unrest, I can see. I don't see, a civil war like our Civil War. I just don't think the military would get involved in that. I don't think they would fight in something like that. So I don't see that kind of a civil war, but I can certainly see states like Texas. And I personally believe that the Constitution, in my reading of it, is that you don't have to, you're not forced to stay in forever. And that's just the Supreme Court has tried to make some decision since then. But the Supreme Court made a decision in the mid-30s that basically said, you know what? Screw the Constitution. Forget about the 10th Amendment. Congress, you can pass whatever you want and spend on whatever you want. And the Supreme Court basically nullified the Constitution, at least the 10th Amendment, in the mid-30s. And then they proceeded to do other things. So there's nothing in the Constitution that says a state has to stay in the Union forever. And Texas knows it. There's movements elsewhere. So they could really take off after a bad contested election. And if they go, there's no forcing them back. And the really odd thing is I could foresee a country like Texas succeeding and then telling the United States, you know what, we're out of your stupid domestic socialism policies, but we'll stay allied with you. We'll continue to send Texans into the U.S. military and we'll be allied with you. And if the Democrats said no to that, the next best thing they could do is Texas could go, you know what, let's join the British Commonwealth. Seriously.
I doubt they would do that.
Support the British military, and we'll go back into the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth may be less of a bad fit than being with the socialist, democratic-controlled United States for Texas.
The UK is not doing too well on that front. They're about 10 times worse than the democratic socialist problems in the United States.
Correct, but in the Commonwealth, I don't have to take their domestic policies. I'm just in their military. I'm talking about for military and foreign policy, not for domestic policies.
I don't know. Maybe
wouldn't that be ironic, though, to have some U.S. states succeed and go back and join the Commonwealth?
I don't. That one seems like a long shot, but I do see a possibility of what people refer to as national divorce or peaceful divorce. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing about the PayPal stuff. It's a big example of how we're getting into this dangerous authoritarian period. The fact that a financial institution would say we can take money from your business, from your account, regardless, if you say things we don't like. That's nightmarish. At the same time, Stripe emerged, and now they're competing heavily with PayPal. Locals, which is now Rumble, uses Stripe. Parallel economy emerges. It is bad what PayPal is doing. They are powerful. They are dominant. But maybe these alternatives are inevitable. When Facebook was engaging in all this censorship at the height of 2020, or 2018 and 2019 into 2020, a lot of people were saying, don't worry, an alternative will emerge eventually, and many have. But I also kind of think just Facebook is kind of just dwindling as it is with younger people, and TikTok is getting picked up, which is even worse. So I don't think there's always a solution in that the market will provide. But we are seeing, at least when it comes to PayPal, the market here hit them by 6%. Users are jumping ship. Maybe that's the white pill moment. That's the optimistic thing, that as much as things are getting bad, this PayPal's backlash, I'll say this looks like a de-escalation in terms of all this stuff.
Well, they reversed the policy, which speaks volumes. I mean, for them to come out with a bold policy saying that they're going to steal grandma's purse in the middle of the night as she's walking down the street is a pretty egregious move for the crime of wrongthing. It's absolutely wild that they could try to justify stealing and theft like a government would from its citizens as a form of punishing people for thinking incorrectly. And I think, yes, it's optimistic that they reversed it, but it's also pretty crazy that they thought that they could get away with this. That's another part of this that we need to understand here. They thought that this was viable. They thought that this was okay, which is absolutely insane. And this shows you how far they go when it comes to mind control and when it comes to policing the thoughts of American citizens, to the point where they're like, we're just going to take it all.
Oh, yeah. Get in my head for a minute. I'm an Austrian banker. I run the Bank for International Settlements in Switzerland. I'm letting the U.S. survive with my money. If I want to cut them off from my money supply, I can. The most annoying thing in the world right now is American republicanism, because they think that they're so great. They think they're the best. They're screwing up. They're obese. They're screwing up the country. I would love nothing more than to see the United States split apart in a civil war, because that's the biggest threat to my global takeover. I want to spread my seed. I want everyone using my money. I want the Bank for International Settlements to be running the world, and the Americans are annoying, man. So that's that perspective of this global banking cartel. That's what Stripe is doing. Ethereum is the alternate. It's not about dollars and cents. Great that parallel economies using American dollars, fiat currency, Federal Reserve notes for now. Great that Stripe's doing it. Stripe's still private. I think they're looking at going public, which means BlackRock's going to own them pretty soon. I don't know when that's happening, or they've been talking about it since 2021.
People are going to take that clip of you saying you want to spread your seed everywhere.
Yes, I want to spread. I want to inseminate the world with my fiat crap. But if it looks like Ethereum, which is also kind of on a path to fiat, unfortunately, with their transition to proof of stake now instead of proof of work. Doesn't matter who's making the currency; it matters who has it. They're going to be making more.
Well, I don't think it's fiat currency. I mean, I'm an Ethereum fan, and there are other great blockchains and cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was, applaud for being the first, but it's not a very good one, and it wasn't expected to be. It was just to prove the concept. But there are a lot of great cryptocurrencies, which could. I mean, Zelle is an alternative to PayPal, just doing it with your Zelle and your bank, but the long-term evolution could well be cryptocurrency that is controlled by no one other than the people using it. So the Ethereum, their new process to confirm a block of data and to lock it in, it's people like me. I'm one of them now. I have some of my Ethereum I've pledged to go to their system. So it's not like I'm pledging US dollars or fiat currency. I'm pledging Ether.
Well, the reason
I heard some
fiat.
rumors that that some people on the Ethereum network were working with like the World Economic Forum and their vision of a centralized currency. They are?
Well, this is what I read, is that Ethereum is going to be the one world government coin.
Well, it's also important to note
so
here.
buy Ethereum is what you're saying?
No. Stop financing the monsters.
The reason I say it's fiat is
you're
because
triggering me here.
Bitcoin has 19 million Bitcoins, 21 million that'll ever be printed. They can be broken down into what are called Satoshis, which is the lowest decimal amount. So you have a finite amount of them. They're not fiat in that sense. There's a finite amount. But Ethereum can be printed indefinitely as it's currently standing, which means that, if enough inflation happens fast enough, you're just going to see an escalation and a fiat explosion of Ethereum 2. They could always evolve it, create a fork, create Ethereum 3 that's actually deflationary by nature, which I think is the future of crypto, is a crypto that, as long as it sits there, it's constantly degrading in value. You have one today, you're losing 0.001% of that every day. So you're encouraged to spend it. You want circulation of currency. You want currency circulating through any given system. That's what a currency is.
It's a current.
It's a current.
And just to add to your point, the BlackRock CEO came out not so long ago, and he said this Ukrainian war could be used to, quote, accelerate the use of central bank digital currencies. So these Fed coins, these coins orchestrated by the Federal Reserves and central banks are already being implemented in places like Canada and Australia. The U.S. Federal Reserve is talking about implementing one here in the United States. So a lot of people foresee a deliberate brought on economic calamity that's engineered here in the United States in order to bring on these centralized digital currencies, which of course will track, trace, and database, and also create a social credit score like system that will track how much carbon you produce, that will of course also punish you for your wrong political thoughts. This is what PayPal is probably working on the back end. This is what the Federal Reserve is already working on and implementing in many other countries, which should scare the utter crap out of everyone paying attention right now.
I think that it's inevitable that the writing's been on the wall since maybe the 1980s, really since the Federal Reserve formed and realized, we're just going to inflate this thing until we can't anymore. They have to have some future vision of what it's going to become, and it doesn't surprise me that it's a global trackable currency that's digital and can be shut off with the flip of a switch.
Where did you see that they said Ethereum would be like that global
Let's
currency?
see if I can find an article about it.
Who said that?
It was some article I was reading.
I don't disagree. I was even thinking that it'd be Bitcoin. The issue is Bitcoin. You mentioned it was the first in, best dressed. So it's not necessarily the best one, but it came in looking good and it worked. But the best thing about it is that it's truly decentralized, and many of these other cryptos are centralized in some capacity. There was some controversy with a particular coin I'm not going to mention because it's proprietary, but people were shocked to discover that they increased the volume when they said they couldn't, and they did, because when you have centralized digital currency, they can control it. Did you find it?
It didn't pop up. I'll see if I can pull it up tonight, though.
Ethereum makes sense. I mean, doesn't Ethereum? No, I don't want to say things I don't know for sure. But Ethereum makes sense because it's seemingly the more institutional of the cryptocurrencies, getting a lot of support. Bitcoin, of course, does. But too many anarchists, libertarians, and radicals support Bitcoin for me to think that they're going to actually try and use that. They want control.
They also want infinite supply. Ethereum provides the possibility for an infinite supply. What'll happen is you'll be, like you were saying, you're staking the Ethereum, which means that you put some into a node and then that node generates interest. I think it's actually, this I don't know exactly if it's written into the code of the Ethereum 2 itself, that it auto-generates interest, and so it's set to expand at a certain rate. But what'll happen is we'll each have our own nodes. People will probably start selling you little boxes you plug into your wall and you tap into with your phone, and your Ethereum's going to be on your wall, which is dangerous because someone can steal that. So then we'll create these like bank nodes that are like 10 miles away in a very secure location. There's a node that you can port into with your phone where all your Ethereum is stored, collecting you interest. And then maybe there'll be a master node in Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland. Who knows where they're going to put the master node, but eventually they'll start noding up and then re-centralize the thing.
No, I don't think they will. I think Ethereum is a real blockchain. It is decentralized. It'll always stay that way.
It's not decentralized. It's proprietary.
No,
it literally is.
It. I mean, the problem with Bitcoin is it takes 10 minutes or maybe more to process a block. So potentially I could buy something with you, pay in Bitcoin, and if the block doesn't process, you don't get paid. You may want to wait, and I don't want to wait 10 minutes for the block to process. Bitcoin is just not feasible for use, but Ethereum, and as it advances more, can do really fast processing and can be used for something like a cryptocurrency that you use everyday life that is not controlled by a bank. It's controlled by the Ethereum blockchain.
But if a bank owns 51% of the chain, then if a cabal of people owns 51% of it, it's not likely, but it is a possibility. And I think we should resolve every contingency when we're planning a future of global currency. Like, if it can be done, it may very well be done. So we should watch out for people taking control of the nodes.
You can track everybody, with Bitcoin. I believe the Ethereum chain, it's all publicly available as well, right? All the transactions.
Yeah, on Etherscan.
Yep.
I bring this up often when we talk about crypto. I went to Davos several years ago, and crypto was the theme. I wasn't in the actual World Economic Forum. In the city of Davos, everybody shows up and then tries to suck all the teat of the World Economic Forum outside of it. To be like, look at me, I want to be part of your thing. But there's pop-ups everywhere. Bars, clubs, partying, and people do their mini events in the periphery, and crypto was it. Everyone was like, this is the future, this is what we're doing. Since then, I've been telling people like, the World Economic Forum types, they love crypto. They want that. I mean, think about what Bitcoin is. It's arguably a global currency. It comes out, they get all the right-wing nut jobs to start using it and cheering for it. They all become rich overnight. This sings the praises of it, and all of a sudden they're like, this is our way out of the machine. And the machine is just like, ooh, we love that everyone's adopting this universal digital currency that can track every move you make.
Another reason why the World Economic Forum and the global monetary system doesn't like Bitcoin, but they prefer Ethereum, is because Bitcoin's energy intensive. The mining process requires that you have a GPU plugged into a wall. It's burning a lot of coal or whatever your power. Whereas the proof of stake stuff, it's just the digital code on some node somewhere is just repopulating and adding new gain. It doesn't require any mining electricity. It's just like in this program in the net. The problem is if the power goes out, then none of it's worth anything.
Right. I was going to ask, if the power goes out, what are we going to do?
Yeah. When I asked that question to a group of developers, it's stunned silence.
You put the blockchain on the smoke signal, and that's how you transfer.
I promise. That's how much I had.
You send the private key, and then you send the public key, and then bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
When everyone can see your private key. There it is.
It's true.
I think cash. You got to maintain cash.
Well, we have dealt with that problem at Fortitude Ranch because we do have a cryptocurrency. It's called the Fortitude. This is a fake one, not the real one. It's an ERC20 token, runs on the Ethereum blockchain. You can use our tokens to buy membership. But what happens if, the grid goes down? There's no Ethereum blockchain. You can't use them. So if you want, you can say, hey, I'm the one who bought these Fortitude tokens. I'll put it on my spreadsheet on my computer I keep offline, and if the grid's down but you can still contact me, I know that you own you own 15 Fortitudes and you are entitled to join Fortitude Ranch. And because when the shit hits the fan for Fortitude Ranch and everyone wants to join, we've got a page ready to come up on our website that says we're no longer accepting cash memberships. You can only join with Fortitude tokens, because people have bought them in the past. Part of the allure is if you own Fortitudes, you're not a member of Fortitude Ranch, but we will give you priority to join over cash buyers. We've been selling them for that.
Is there any kind of like thing on there where I can scan it and it'll bring up my Fortitude?
Not on this. This is completely a trinket, for show. But it's a normal ERC20 token, so you can see it on the blockchain if you search for Fortitudes. FRT is our symbol. We're hard to find. We're traded
FRT.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, sorry. That's
I'm going to go to coinmarketcap.com and look up the FRT.
But we're not widely traded at all.
I see.
It was a small issue.
Fertilizer.
The company owns most of the tokens. We have people who bought them, one, to join, and then some have bought them as investments.
Couldn't get FRC? Fortitude Ranch currency? Or
Nah, Fortitude is the name we use.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.